2 Porsches, 2 Estates, 2 Grand Tourers, but 2 very different powertrains. Is the Taycan or Panamera number 1? When you think of a big, premium performance car, your first thought is probably of something large with 2 doors and 4 seats. Something that blends style with performance and comfort, and most probably a hefty price tag. Like many different niches in the new car market, however, the boundaries between segments is being continually blurred and ever more broad, resulting in cars that have greater depth. Porsche is a brand that has redefined the class in recent years with the Panamera, and it's packed full of star quality. With the Sport Turismo model here, Porsche has added even more practicality with a sleek estate body steel without sacrificing performance. But the German firm hasn't stopped at just the one genre blending model, because its Taycan also offers much of the same ability, but with a twist, it's fully electric. Like the Panamera, the Taycan is available as an estate as well, which here we're testing in Cross Turismo form to determine which powertrain better fits the bill. Petrol versus electric in the premium stakes. Place your bets now. The Taycan marked Porsche's entry into the world of fully electric vehicles in the modern era, and the project was no small undertaking. An all-new electric architecture, called J1, was developed with Audi. The project also spawned the e-tron GT, which uses very similar hardware. The new underpinnings showcased EV technology that was, at its release in 2019, some of the most advanced on the market. Indeed, 800-volt electrical architecture means that the Taycan is available with ultra-rapid charging. Initially, the Taycan was launched as a 4-door, whose styling stayed faithful to the stunning Mission E concept revealed at the 2015 Frankfurt Motor Show. Since then, the range has been bolstered by 2 estate variants, the Sport Turismo, and the slightly jacked-up Cross Turismo model we're driving here. Mechanically, there's little to separate the Cross Turismo from the rest of the Taycan range, but the optional off-road pack raises the air suspension by 10 mm in its medium mode, to complement a little extra body cladding. Inside, the cabin is just like the rest of the Taycan lineup. The design is clean and understated, with physical buttons kept to a minimum. The driving position feels as sporty and low-slung as you'd hope from a Porsche. Despite the 93.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack located under the floor. In this 4S model, that battery provides energy for a pair of electric motors, which together offer a maximum output of 483 brake horsepower and 650 Nm. Unusually for an EV, there is a gearbox, which drives through the rear motor only, a first. Shorter ratio is used to give a burst of acceleration, while the second is for cruising efficiency. Chances are you'll be aware of all the inherent benefits that come about with a fully electric powertrain by now. Near-silent motors, a smooth throttle response and lightning-fast performance are here in abundance. The last of these is proved by the 0 to 62 miles per hour time of just 4.1 seconds, making it 0.3 seconds faster than the Panamera. The way it delivers this is stunning too, with instant response. What is more of a departure from many EVs is just how involving the Taycan is to drive. While the noises, or lack thereof, aren't what you'd expect to hear from a Porsche, the chassis characteristics are all present and correct. It's keen yet controlled through corners, with plenty of composure even when confronted with nasty mid-corner bumps. The steering is precise and beautifully weighted, too, while there's enough wizardry going on with the way that power is split across the two axles that traction is formidable. Even in slippery conditions, it takes serious provocation on the throttle to encourage the tail to slide. Most people won't be pushing their Taycan this hard, though, and the good news is that the air suspension system delivers a soothing ride while never feeling even remotely vague or wallowy. It's proof, if anything else, that electric vehicles need not be dull to drive. Charging is one thing to consider when living with an electric car, but the Taycan is one of the quickest and most stress-free options around. Porsche says that it'll charge at a peak of 270 kilowatts, meaning a 5 to 80% recharge. That's 201 miles, based on our efficiency reading, is added in 22 minutes and 30 seconds. When we plugged the Taycan into a 350 kilowatt-hour charger, we saw a peak charge rate of 285 kilowatts, quicker than Porsche's own claim. The Platinum Edition is set apart from the rest of the Panamera range through subtle cosmetic and spec details. Like the Taycan, the Panamera relies on platform sharing within the wider Volkswagen group. But don't think that this means there's any cutting back on the sophistication, because it uses the MSB architecture, which also forms the basis of the Bentley Continental GT and Flying Spur. That brings with it a number of key technological talking points. The optional rear axle steering fitted to this test car helps to decrease its turning circle by 0.6 meters over the standard car, while the adaptive air suspension varies both ride height and responsiveness of the chassis. The MSB platform also allows for the provision of electrified powertrains. The Panamera 4e Hybrid is the first of 3 plug-in hybrid powertrains available to Panamera buyers, combining a turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 petrol engine and a 134 brake horsepower electric motor. The total outputs of 456 brake horsepower and 700 Nm should be more than enough for most. But those looking for even more urgency can turn to the SE Hybrid with 552 brake horsepower, or the Turbo SE Hybrid. The range topper uses the same electric motor, but is boosted by a 4.0-liter twin-turboed V8. The result is a whopping 690 brake horsepower, a 0 to 62 miles per hour time of a scant 3.2 seconds and a 196 miles per hour top speed. One of the biggest influences on how differently these two cars behave on a challenging road is the tires. While the Taycan rides on Michelin Pilot Sport 4 rubber, the Panamera uses the stickier 4S tires. This can be felt through the steering, which is more keen to turn in, while the car offers a more neutral balance when loaded up in the corner and, ultimately, more grip. For a car that weighs 2.2 tons, the Panamera is deeply impressive to drive. It's not sharp in the mold of some high-performance German saloons, but the responses to inputs are so good. The steering in particular is fantastic, the body is so well controlled, and the traction is so strong that it's an incredibly satisfying car to drive whatever the speed. Yet it also delivers a soft, relaxing ride that's not far off what you'd hope for from a luxury limousine, and its breadth of abilities is staggering. Indeed, they're even wider than the impressive Taycans. However, there are areas where the 4S shows just a little bit of weakness. The braking system, strong as it is, needs a little fine-tuning. The pedal has a dead zone towards the top of its travel before any sort of motor regeneration kicks in, and the transition from there to mechanical braking isn't the smoothest either. While the 8-speed gearbox is smooth for the most part, it can be a bit clumsy in other areas. It's a little slow to engage reverse, for example. The V6 engine is a solid companion to the electric assistance. Performance builds with a strong, consistent swell of power. This is in contrast to the Taycan, which has an almost shocking initial punch that tails off as the speed rises.